What's poppin', y'all? This Meek Mill Akademiks beef that spurred off again after they had been cool. All roads lead back to Diddy. We're not gonna cut that part out. I didn't get it right the first time, but come on, man. I can't get everything right the first time. It's a lot of pressure on me. Be a little bit considerate. So this beef is pretty much over. Unfortunately, I don't think this will harm Meek Mill at all, actually. Because one thing I've noticed, developments since the last time I talked about this, Akademiks proceeded to clown Meek Mill on everything for a while, especially Meek's responses. One thing that I want you guys to do is look at the original tweet that got Meek Mill into trouble. Meek Mill tweets Drake ghostwriters, right? That was in 2015, so 9 years ago. And I'm just going to read this tweet out to you guys. Stop comparing Drake to Me Too. He don't write his own raps. That's why he ain't tweet my album, because we found out, with the grinning emoji with the teeth out. This was July 21st, 2015. It's been 9 years since then. And tell me, let me just read you another tweet that Akademiks responded to. I want a podcast deal. I have a lot to say on many different levels. If you have a podcast business moving slow, I can reverse that. From Meek Mill. I've always been my own media, and I want to join the culture of black media. So look at that tweet 9 years ago, and look at this tweet right now. And let's not even get into the series of tweets that Meek put out when the whole Diddy allegations came to light. This guy hasn't learned a single thing. If you've ever seen The Fly, right? Let's say you've got a window screen, a clear, maybe you have those slider doors in your backyard, if you're fortunate enough to have a backyard, or just some clear window. And then the fly just keeps hitting the window because it thinks it's going to get in. And then it never gets in because it's just hitting the window. But it looks clear to it. I feel like that's Meek Mill with social media. Instead of giving it up and handing it over to someone else, he just keeps hitting his head against this clear glass, hoping that one day he'll get through. Or he's just seeing it completely different from everyone else. But he's still tweeting the same stuff that's not helping his case. So Akademiks tweets him, and he said, I'll offer you $1 million up front for your 52 episodes. One a week. We own video and audio with the option to renew for a second year. Also, we bust down ads 50% on any ads we bring in. You can own the podcast, but we share the IP as long as you win the deal. These guys have been having issues. Meek was driving late nights into Philly, trying to prove that he was gangsta, but also talking about governors and this and that. And Akademiks proceeded to interview what seemed like the entire Philadelphia. And one of the highlights of all of those interviews, I haven't watched the majority of them, but one of the highlights was the whole No Diddy thing. I'm going to play that clip for you guys right now.
I'm trying to get a boxing ring with him. All these people who claim they don't like me in hip-hop, you would do them a favor. This is a legal way. Nobody got to get in trouble. You walk away with a bunch of money, and the nigga, like, you could say you knocked me out for the rest of your life. Now, if I win, it's over. We gotta offer. One company said $1 million. Another company, this is the one with KSI, they came in, they said, we'll beat the last price. We'll do $1.5 million. We could settle whatever in the ring. Right. He not responding, though. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. If you've been the number one street nigga from Philly for 10 years, you don't want that to end with one knockout to a nigga you just call a nerd. Like, that would be crazy. Like, we would have to have a contest at that point and be like, yo, we're running a contest for the new king of Philly. Like, it's over.
The timing on that, the delivery, everything was just perfect. And I put out a post on my IG, which you guys should follow me at helloyassine, where I said, will you guys be dropping pause and no homo for No Diddy? I'm not gonna lie, like, No Diddy hits a little bit different. Pause. No Diddy on that one. I don't think I'll be completely converting, but it's like any new movement, right? You've got to slowly gain the followers. But I do think No Diddy may have a cult fan base for a little bit, especially on the internet or within our hip-hop space. So this came out of it, and Meek Mill ended up blocking Akademiks, and Akademiks kept posting about it. But one thing I've noticed is rappers kind of have this Teflon armor when it comes to their conflicts with any non-rapper. So if a rapper was doing this to Meek Mill, they'd be calling him the realest on earth. Man, he's staying 10 toes, this and that. But the fact that it's not a rapper, they're like, man, you're going too far. Like, you're doing too much with this Meek Mill thing, which Akademiks said he was pretty much done with the whole Meek Mill thing, which is understandable. I mean, he did the damage that he could do. And the public perception was kind of changing, which I wouldn't say bothers me, but it's most definitely makes me like look back, raise my eyebrows in terms of why. Meek Mill was, let's not even talk about his issues with Akademiks. Meek Mill was running down on people. Like, Meek Mill was he was running down on Safari, getting him jumped. Meek Mill got Quentin Miller, ran down on Quentin Miller, got him jumped. For what reason? What did Quentin Miller do? Quentin Miller just didn't want to, I don't know, like ride with Meek or expose Drake. Yeah, Quentin Miller wanted to protect his own career, which Meek Mill ruined by leaking it. Quentin Miller was able to catch his stride again, but just think of the trajectory. Quentin Miller could have continued working with Drake. The success of If You're Reading This Too Late, if Meek Mill didn't go and expose that, Quentin Miller would have probably still been working with the guy or working with him for a couple of years after that, and he would have made a great living. And Meek Mill ruined that, and then Meek Mill, in his mind, he's like, hey, you didn't come back me up for my stupid rant, so we're going to jump you. So he jumps Quentin Miller. This guy's getting people jump left and right that did nothing to him. They just didn't want to roll with his programming. And conveniently, everybody just forgets that. They're like, man, you're doing too much with this Meek thing. Man, Meek was going crazy on everybody. And that's just what we've seen. Akademiks was talking about all this other behind-the-scenes stuff, that how Meek Mill is treating people. But the fact that Meek Mill is a rapper, he gets this like Teflon armor where people are just willing to let go of anything that he does to non-rappers or people that they don't necessarily care about. It just like escapes their mind. And I enjoy Meek Mill's music. No Diddy. I just had to throw it in there, even though it's, we're treading water right now. We don't know what's the state of Meek Mill. Meek Mill recently did a freestyle, which was, people were saying was a little bit zesty, one of the bars on it. I think it was a good freestyle on the radar. Hey, one thing is Meek Mill can flow and he can rap, and he even showed he can rap off the dome. But circling back to that whole thing, so he ruined Quentin Miller's career, and then he gets out of jail and hops on a song with Drake that he beat Quentin Miller over. So the way Meek moves, I don't see why people are just giving him this sympathy. If anything, like I said, if Akademiks was a rapper and he was doing this and he was doing songs, they're like, yo, who's a rapper that we can think of? Hell, let's just say when the Drake beef was going on, if Drake was giving features to Philly artists that Meek Mill was supposedly trying to blackball, I don't know if that's the case, but let's say that people would be like, yo, Drake is devious, man. He's given features to all of Meek's quote-unquote ops or people that are having issues with them. Or if it was any other rapper, they would be saying that. But because it's not a rapper, they look at it as like, damn, you're doing too much. Which I can't really get behind that sentiment. I mean, the only perspective I could say I would have is it's very, very personal. Oh, yeah. I was just about to say it's very, very personal and it's riding a certain line. But Meek Mill was literally threatening this guy. The Akademiks talking about, yo, I got your address and we're going to run down on you and I'm ready to die over this, because he was laughing at some court documents where he was mentioned. And then Meek talks about it being AI. So Meek Mill's threatening death on this guy. Yeah. The only case that I'm willing to accept for someone to make for, oh, Akademiks went too hard on Meek Mill or was doing too much, is that you believe that Meek Mill is not just substandard. He's at the level of mentally challenged. Like his whatever rating that they use is so low that he's a danger to everyone. And like, for example, if like how do I say this without being offensive? Because I actually don't want to be offensive to this group of people. Most other groups of people, I personally don't care. You guys can take it. Let's say, yeah, like mentally, you've got mental issues. You can't function yourself, right? Like let's say someone with Down syndrome, right? I'm not saying that's the level of Meek, but if you're willing to say that Meek Mill is just so dumb that he doesn't even know what he's doing, so we should treat him with kitty gloves because he's that dumb, then I might say, you know what? You may have a point. But he's a hazard to other people because, like I said, he's moving around, he's getting people jumped, or he was getting people jumped, all this and that. So that's the only explanation that I'm willing to accept. Other than that, Meek got what was coming to him. I don't want to see Meek lose, like I said. I don't think he loses from this. I think people just move on. This isn't like a rap beef, kind of like circling back to the whole peers versus what people see as the rap Teflon armor. Being in this career gets you, which I guess rappers do get a lot of flack from other areas, but yeah, it's the one thing you get away with: scamming, killing, and a bunch of other things. Unless you kill the wrong person, right? Like if you're like Lil Tim or Quando Rondo and you just happen to defend yourself and kill somebody that people like, well then that's where killing is not cool. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.